The thing that matters to me is to help America be competitive. I have created a foundation. I call it the Pioneering AI Foundation, which is yet to be filed. It's a nonprofit foundation to help America compete with foreign countries.
Welcome to Clause 8, the #1 podcast on intellectual property. When Gil Hyatt was last on Clause 8 in 2019, we discussed his role in pioneering the microprocessor and the substantial licensing program he built without any litigation. But much of that conversation focused on what happened next, the USPTO's SAWS program. The internal system flagged applications like Gil's and effectively prevented patents from issuing, sparking years of litigation that is still ongoing today. In 2019, it had been 7 years since the Supreme Court unanimously ruled in Gil's favor. Now it's 2026, 14 years after that landmark win, and the litigation continues, with another petition pending before the court. But Gil doesn't want to focus on the past. He is proposing the Pioneering AI Foundation, a gift to the United States for its 250th birthday. Gil says the foundation could help advance U.S. economic interests and American values. We traveled to Las Vegas to sit down with Gil and discuss his vision. The question is, will America accept it? On this episode, Gil discusses his early work in AI long before it became mainstream, his vision for the foundation, and why, after all these years, he continues to pursue his patents.
So Gil, thanks for coming back in Clause 8.
Thanks for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
So, me and you talked, I guess, in 2019, like I said, and that was 7 years after you won your Kappos versus Hyatt Supreme Court case. You won that 9-0. And, you think like, all right, you won a Supreme Court case litigating against the USPTO. And I encourage everybody to go back and listen to that first episode where we kind of get into that complicated history of that. That's the main reason we're kind of speaking again today is that you've proposed starting the Pioneering AI Foundation. Can you tell us at a high level what is the idea and what are you trying to accomplish with that?
Yeah, the foundation is a nonprofit foundation. I want to use it to help America and my AI technology can be used through the ITC for the government to negotiate trade agreements to minimize abusive foreign trade techniques.
So you want to give this gift of this foundation to America where they would be able, the U.S. government would be able to kind of enforce these patents and bring them in. Two questions come to mind. One is, as we covered in the first episode, you've gone through a lot in terms of dealing with the U.S. government. Why would you want to give this gift to America, the American government, after all that?
America is the dream of immigrants. My parents were legal immigrants. They came over legally over 100 years ago, and America gave us the dream life. The kids were college educated and successful, and I want to repay America for myself and my extended family.
Part of your idea for your foundation is really about for other countries to have the same respect for human rights as we do in America. Can you tell us first, how's that part of the foundation and why is that important to you?
It's very important. I was working with the unions and actually at the presidential level of the unions, explaining the importance of intellectual property rights to keep to level the playing field for the unions. Level the playing field meant that causing the companies and foreign factories to work under the same guidelines that American companies have to work under, such as human rights, environmental protection, and the like.
What made you decide to meet with the unions in the first place?
I had some friends who were very union-oriented. They introduced me to the presidents of various unions that were interested in leveling the playing field with foreign competition, and they were really very interested in the idea of using intellectual properties through the International Trade Commission, the ITC, to limit imports that were made in violation of human rights and environmental protection and things like that, that the American companies were obligated to follow because of the laws.
And how would that work? How would your patents and your foundation help with that?
We have in the draft license agreements provisions that in order to be a licensed product, the product needs to be manufactured in accordance with these American laws, even though they're being manufactured in a foreign country, and that the motivation to do that is because if we have an American patent on those manufacturing processes, we can get the products excluded through a general exclusion order that we would seek through the International Trade Commission.
The idea is for companies to get a license to the patents as part of your foundation, they would have to agree to follow the human rights provisions and the environmental provisions as products get made in the U.S. And then I guess labor, the labor unions that the companies they work for follow. And if the companies don't do that, then your patents would be able to be used to exclude those products from being imported to the U.S.
That's right, through the International Trade Commission. The ITC, the International Trade Commission, can only exclude products. It cannot give damages. In contrast to American patent litigation, which can give patent damages and exclusivity orders for patent infringement.
Why is that important to you, the fact that, American workers are protected in that way?
That's very important because my objective is to help America maintain its leadership. And one of the problems that we have is unfair foreign competition. And the Supreme Court has recently said that it's limiting the use of tariffs to do that. And I believe, and the International Trade Commission was specifically created by Congress in order to protect American industry from unfair foreign competition. Therefore, I have drafted my patent claims to follow the patent laws that Congress has specifically legislated in order to protect American business, and using the ITC as the vehicle.
What I want to kind of get at is for 30 years, you were very successful. You could have said, all right, it is what it is. I got the patents that I got. I was successful with that. But for 30 years, you've been pursuing, obtaining the remaining patents that you think you are due. What's inside of you that's been driving to get these patents? What is like the ultimate goal, the ultimate reason?
Metaphorically speaking, I believe that God intends me to help America and has given me these gifts that I need to continue to pursue. The government can use the foundation for, if you excuse the expression, negotiating chips against foreign countries to exclude products through the ITC if the products are manufactured with unfair trade practices.
So it would be almost as an alternative to, I guess, the tariff policy. The governments would now have the ability to use this as a negotiation tool.
Yes, and it's even more important than that because Congress told the government that how to control trade through the ITC. It formed the ITC, gave them some very, very, very powerful laws to control trade through the ITC. I drafted my patent claims to the specific requirements of those laws, and now I want to make them the intellectual properties available to the government in order to use them for the trade problems that we're currently up against, and that Congress had given us the tools to control.
Some people might be listening to it and they might be skeptical, right? They might say, well, this is just some clever idea for Gil Hyatt to finally obtain his patents. What would your response to them be?
Well, the response is all they have to do is read the law and to see the special features that Congress gave for us to control trade. And a nonprofit foundation is the vehicle that I can use in order to essentially help the government achieve those trade benefits.
What do you think are the next steps, in trying to make this foundation happen? You mentioned you're waiting on the administration. What's after that, I guess, after that?
Well, what we need is the final recommendations of the administration. We'll then file the nonprofit foundation, and then we will continue with my financing to continue my research and development, pay for the lawyers and the consultants, as we've been doing for the past 25, 30 years.
There's probably some people in the administration who might be listening to this, and they might have been involved in aspects of your story. What would you want them to kind of understand about your story, about why you've been fighting all these years to obtain these patents, and then why now you're trying to, what your goal now is with this foundation? What would your message be to those people who might have already preset notions?
I think the message is that we want to help America relative particularly to foreign competition, but also to the development of AI in America, such as for education, and therefore we, subject to the administration's preferences, we're not planning on litigating against American companies. We want to protect American companies against foreign competition to the extent that the administration wants to use our patent, our intellectual property rights.
Yeah, and I guess that's part of a story that I guess we haven't discussed, is that in addition to your other innovations, you've actually done some, you came up with inventions related to AI. Can you go back to that time? What made you focus on that, and what problem were you trying to solve in the AI field?
Okay, one thing that the patent system doesn't recognize, neither the patent office nor the courts, or they won't admit to it, is that invention is not a single stroke of genius. It's a tough process of research and development, and then when you make some major breakthroughs, that's only the start, because those who make the major breakthroughs are the ones who will continue to make the breakthroughs, continue to improve their processes.
Before we get to that, I guess I'd love to just hear the story of how did you end up focusing on AI in the first place?
I focused on AI as an extension of my microcomputer technology, and I pioneered the systems aspect in AI back in the late 1970s, early 1980s.
So this was obviously way before ChatGPT. The only thing anybody can talk about is AI these days. Were you surprised about how long it took for AI to really take off?
Yes, and one reason that it took so long to take off is because the Patent Office suppressed the AI technology. For example, I have AI patents, patent applications with allowed AI claims from 20 years ago. The Board of Appeals allowed my AI claims, and the Patent Office refused to issue a patent on it because they didn't want to give me a patent on AI, even though I deserved it. Yeah, actually, they're bringing to the marketplace the things that I developed 35 years ago and filed patent applications on. If the Patent Office had issued the patent applications in proper time frame, then these technologies that are being developed now would have been developed decades earlier, and we would be have led the Chinese and other foreign countries. However, by the Patent Office suppressing the AI technology decades ago, they caused us to fall behind in AI technology.
We stepped out of the studio and headed to UNLV, where Gil sat down with a room full of future lawyers to discuss the reality of being an independent inventor in America.
So there's a lot of debate in the legal profession about, not debate, discussion about using AI. Obviously, it's everywhere, about how lawyers should be using it. We're in a room of law school students. What advice would you give them about, what to do with all this AI technology as you're starting out on this new profession?
AI is inevitable. There is no stopping it. I like the old expression that I'm going to modify, and metaphorically speaking, if you outlaw AI, only the outlaws will have AI. So therefore, that's a counterproductive concept, outlawing or limiting AI. You want to put your effort into using AI and applying it. And the work that I've done, using it for educating young children, one-on-one, an AI avatar educating a child, and then organizing children activities through AI avatars is and that may sound a little bit foreign, but the work shows that that is a very effective technique. One-on-one educating of children with AI and an AI avatar. Like the microcomputer and the internet, AI is going to be, as my unpublished op-ed says, is going to implement and cause great social progress and much higher productivity and happiness, not only in America, but worldwide, because, to supplement it, because the AI is suitable for the internet, which is worldwide, and even under privileged countries and people will be able to benefit from it very easily. So I predict a tremendous social reform in the future, unless, and this is the key issue, unless the bad guys get hold of it and use AI to brainwash the children into bad social behavior. And that is and I will emphasize, as in my my unpublished op-ed so far, that is shades of shades of the book 1984 by Orwell. So just be careful that AI technology does not get into the hands of the bad guys.
Thanks to all of you for coming. We really appreciate it. We were meeting with a group of law students, but let's say you were meeting with a group of engineering students and they wanted to say, how do I become an innovator like Gil Hyatt? What advice would you give them?
I have a lot of experience with teaching children innovation, and the innovation is based upon problem solving. So you need to encourage them to identify problems and to then try and come up with solutions to those problems. And that is what creates innovation, and that is what results in breakthrough inventions. However, interesting enough, the Patent Office is counterproductive to innovation by secretly prohibiting patents on pioneering inventions, which is the basis, in my opinion, of helping to make America great.
How do you want to be remembered?
I don't particularly want to be remembered. I want to help America, and that's sufficient for me.
And help America in what way, I guess, most important for you?
The best way I can is what, metaphorically speaking again, what God has given me, and that is the intellectual property that I presently have, the foundation, and helping America be more competitive.
A great moment to end on. Thank you, Gil.